somebody should make an iPad, like a toughening and battery, you know, waterproofing, everything for like an iPad, and then on the other side is an Android pad, you know, and this way you can put it in a fire truck, and one has, you know, they share like a common, you know, put like 2 or 3 Wi-Fi networks in it, and you just open the thing up. It's like a briefcase, but it's got 4 Wi-Fi networks that are all powered up. It's got like a 10-hour battery, and then when the, you know, God forbid another 9/11 happens, you actually would have some way of people to communicate. How do you think this new generation of devices and software would have impacted something like, say, 9/11? Have you guys done an analysis of that? Have you been asked to do something like that?
Yeah, it's a great idea. I mean, that would be a wonderful white paper for our website or something. I do think that it's not at all hard to find. There's 2 kinds of stories of pain or trouble that we run into all the time. So one is situations where coordination was the failure point, where the person who was on the phone or dispatching just rate limited the whole thing. So situations where there's hundreds of people available, but only 8 of them are assigned because nobody can get.
There's a bottleneck.
That's right.
They're not self-organizing.
Super common.
Yeah.
We hear that story almost every day. And another story that we hear a lot is about cross-organization visibility, or even visibility between different units in the same organization. So there's this crazy story from Katrina where Walmart was trying to deliver water to the Superdome, and FEMA and the police were blocking all deliveries. And
what?
I mean, there's just all these situations where organizations didn't have visibility into another, and you know, it ends up with people dying.
It's crazy. I mean, Katrina actually was probably a good example of where you could really have done some great work, because people didn't even know where. I mean, I guess people's phones are out, but were the cell phone towers still working?
The cell phone towers were mostly working, yeah. So SMS was going through.
Well, in these emergency type situations, is there a technology standard? Because I know nothing about it, but what is the best platform to have in case of an emergency? Like if I was one of those nuts who carries around a satellite phone or something like that, is that the best thing if you're one of those crazy survivalist people, or is it a CB radio? What's the most resistant technology for emergency situations?
Sure. So I think the 2 candidates are SMS and digital radio. Digital radio is what a lot of these dispatch systems, the police dispatch systems, have moved over to. And the FCC has given it's more powerful than cell towers. It's a separate infrastructure. It's maintained by a lot of the kind of like emergency management folks.
Digital radio. So you mean the same digital radio where like the FM stations now have 2 stations, and it's
a different bandwidth.
But it's specifically for
the pager and kind of that bandwidth.
And is it 2-way, or is it?
It is 2-way. A lot of it is just used for the kinds of stuff that pagers used to run on. And a lot of this stuff is just like, the reason that it's reliable is because it doesn't have to compete with consumer traffic. Like just because there's a separate bandwidth for it.
Yeah, I mean, that is the problem with the AT&T network. There's too many people surfing the web, too many people downloading movies or YouTube videos.
Right.
And the same thing that happens at concerts and stuff like that. I was at the Grammys, and nobody could check their email or send a message because there's too many people trying. The FCC seems to be buying back Spectrum and has a bunch of proposals for that. What's going on with that? Are you familiar with it?
I don't keep up on it. I mean,
you've been watching This Week in Startups. To watch the full episode, click here. To check out some other shows from This Week In, click here.